Hi, welcome to Dialed In. I'm Alex Colon, this is Sasha Segan, and this is PC Mag's daily show, all about products that we are testing in PC Labs. Today's product is the Kobo Forma. It's Kobo's latest e-reader. It is available for pre-order, I believe, starting October 16th. Now, if you have any questions about the Forma or e-readers in general, feel free to put a question on Facebook Live. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, please leave comments there. And let's start talking about e-readers.
Yeah, by the way, you called the show Dialed In. That was our old show about phones.
Oh, I didn't see.
Yeah. So the two of us, what's happening here is that the two of us who are not often on One Cool Thing together used to have a weekly show where we talked about cell phones called Dialed In.
I mean, technically we still have the show, it's just not as regular.
It's on hiatus. Yeah, but that is clearly where your mind was.
I mean, yeah, I don't host the show that often, so
right.
That's what's happening.
Well, because I'm often the host, but today it's my product, and so, yeah.
Right. But you know what? I like e-readers just as much as I like phones, and this is a pretty cool one that we have here.
Yeah, so the Kobo Forma, this is Kobo's new high-end e-reader, and by high-end, you know, we're talking $279. And the innovation here is that it is big, and it is thin and light and flexible. It uses a relatively little-seen e-ink screen technology called e-ink Mobius, which uses a plastic backing rather than a glass backing to enable you to get devices very thin with relatively large screens. And what we have here is an 8-inch screen. Because one of Kobo's specialties is, why do you want an 8-inch screen? There's really two reasons why you might want an 8-inch screen. One, if you're a large type kind of person. Right. You get to read more on the screen at once in larger type. The other one is if you're a comics or manga kind of person. And in that case, this screen becomes big enough to actually read comics and be able to read the small type in the comics where you can't even on a 7-inch e-reader.
So I have a quick question about that. I am not really a comics or manga person, but you are.
I am.
I mean, this is only black and white. Are you cool with reading it on a black and white screen?
Well, especially with manga, because most manga, and here is a manga which I downloaded from the library, which is another thing we'll get to in a minute.
Right.
Manga usually are in black and white anyway.
Okay.
So if that's the genre you're into, then you can see this is kind of perfect for that, because it's black and white anyway. But yeah, I mean, it has some really nice sensitive grayscales, and I definitely find it an enjoyable reading experience. I just wish that, once more, as a serious comics reader, things like Marvel Unlimited were available on here, which it's totally not. I mean, it's an ebook reader.
Right. All right, let's talk, before we start comparing it to other things, you just mentioned libraries.
Yes.
Let's talk about Kobo and libraries.
Yeah, so Kobo is a big deal in Canada, in Japan, in France. It's lesser known here in the US. They do have their own bookstore. It is a perfectly fine bookstore. It has 6 million books at roughly the same prices as Amazon. The books that you can't find in here are mostly books that are published by Amazon, for obvious reasons. But what makes Kobo special, to me at least, is that it has integrated Overdrive support. Overdrive is the software that most US public libraries use. And you can punch in your public library credentials, like I did here with the New York Public Library, and you can see the library's catalog and like specials put up by the librarians, just like it was the native store.
Right.
And that is super awesome. That is an experience that you don't see on any other e-reader other than Kobo. And then you can download books from the library right from the native UI on the device, and then in the device's menu, you will see how long it'll be before your library book expires. And so for a library reader experience, Kobo really has it down.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a really nice, intuitive interface. I mean, it basically looks like that the reader was meant for this. If you wanted to do this with a different ebook reader, like from one of the Kindles, how does that process work there?
So with the Kindle, you hang on a second. I'm going to swipe through some things here. So yeah, so with the Kindle, you go onto your library's website, you go onto the Overdrive website, and then using your PC, and you pick a book and you use a pop-down, and then it sends it to your Kindle.
Right.
So it's just like, it's an extra step using the PC that isn't quite as seamless and isn't quite as integrated as the interface here.
Okay, and do you need to buy this top-of-the-line reader from Kobo in order to get this function, or is it available on their other products?
No, that's the thing. Like, it's available on all of the Kobo e-readers right now, and so we really recommend the $129 Kobo Clara HD for library readers for that reason. So when you're looking at this higher end model, so what you're getting is you're getting the 8-inch screen. You're getting this very light, flexible body for an 8-inch screen.
No, you say flexible. I mean, does it actually flex?
Slightly, yeah.
Okay, and is there any point to the flexibility?
They're saying it makes it more durable. It makes it more able to get knocked around in a bag, basically. You have physical page turn buttons here. That's something that you don't see on every e-reader.
Right.
It's waterproof.
Do you like the page turn buttons?
I like page turn buttons in general. I think the buttons on this e-reader, both page turn and power, are not quite as snappy as I would prefer.
Okay.
But I do like holding it like this with the physical page turn buttons and just hitting the buttons as opposed to having to reach and swipe.
Right.
So and then also on other Kobo e-readers, here I'm gonna prevent it from rotating. This also reads in landscape mode, which is kind of cool on this big screen. Also, like on other Kobo e-readers, you have this color changing backlight.
Right.
Which, that's a really nice feature.
Can that change dynamically?
It changes by time. So what you do is you set your bedtime, and then as it gets closer and closer to bedtime, the background becomes more yellow. Yeah.
So now let's talk about, we also have, for comparison,
Yes.
we have a Kindle right here.
Yes. And now we have some questions.
Oh, all right. Well, let's take a question first.
To go back to comics, if you were going to read color comics like through Comixology or Marvel Unlimited or something, your best bet would be just an Amazon tablet, probably. Like if you wanted a reading device for that.
So, yeah, I actually wouldn't necessarily say an Amazon tablet because Marvel Unlimited isn't available in the Amazon App Store, and then you have to hack Marvel Unlimited onto your tablet by finding the APK, and blah-de-blah-de-blah. It's a pain in the butt. So I would just say a nice Android tablet. A nice Android tablet with Google Play, so that you can be guaranteed to get all of those apps from the Google Play Store that you need to read your comics. And that would be, on the low end, it would be like a Lenovo Tab 410, and then slightly higher, I think it would be an Asus ZenPad 3S10.
I mean, also the Marvel Unlimited app is available on iOS, so you can use it on an iPad.
Yeah, it's just the tablets I suggested are a little less expensive.
Right.
I mean, an iPad is an absolutely lovely comics reading experience, but I was just trying to save a few bucks here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions at the moment? Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this is Amazon's top-of-the-line ebook reader. Do you remember the price on this?
$249.
$249. So this is a little less expensive than the
Yeah.
Kobo. Now, just yesterday when we were talking, you had me hold both readers because you wanted to point out that even though this is indeed lighter and more flexible, there's something about it that feels a little less premium.
Yeah, and that is because they are very, very focused, because of the lightness and the flexibility, they are very, very focused on using kind of plastic and rubberized materials on this very expensive Kobo e-reader. Whereas the Amazon Kindle Oasis, which we have here, is aluminum.
Right.
And that is in part because of the necessity of putting the glass backing on their e-ink screen. So it has to be rigid. But it definitely feels like a bit more of a premium product. And then we get to the question of 7 inches versus 8 inches. And now the Kobo screen is definitely bigger. And we've pointed out that the Kobo screen, here, let me turn this book into large type. And I'll show you the deal with the large type situation. No, that is way too large. It's a very large type indeed. Okay, so, you've got, you'll definitely be able to read more lines of large type. Let's bring the lines a little closer together. And this sensitivity in changing your typeface is also another Kobo strength here. So you're definitely able to read more large type on the Kobo 8-inch screen than on the Amazon 7-inch screen. But the Amazon 7-inch product also feels a little more comfortable in one hand, just because it's smaller.
Right.
And so these are, I haven't finished the review of the Kobo Forma, but these are the kinds of very opinion-y things that I need to worry about in the review. Kind of, is this almost too big for comfortable one-handed reading? It's very light, but it's a little bit, almost borderline unwieldy because it's twice as big as my hand here. Whereas the Amazon product is just a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things in our review process. When we review an ebook reader, you actually need to read with it. You can't, we can sit here right now and say like, oh, this one feels like this feels like that. But until you're actually, you're on the train, you're at home, you're sitting there and feeling like, yes, this is very light. Is it too light or is this too heavy?
Right.
Is my hand getting tired? That's just part of the process.
Yeah, I'll buy and read a book or two on each of these, definitely. So then the question becomes, so Kobo has now 3 e-readers in the market, in the main market. They have another one that's sold exclusively at Walmart. So they have the $129 Clara HD.
Right.
Then they have the $179 Kobo H2O, and that adds waterproofing, which a lot of people want. It adds waterproofing. It has a slightly larger screen. I think the H2O is 6.8 inches, so it's about at the 7-inch level. Similar to that guy. And then we have this really big one. And so, whereas with this, I kind of fell in love with the Kindle Oasis because of its very premium feeling reading experience, because I do read a lot. And just the way my fingers hook over this little lip on the back, and the cool feeling of the metal, and how just solid it feels, as well as the waterproofing, makes my reading experience feel really nice. And does this feel sufficiently nicer compared to the $179 H2O? That's the big question.
Right. And now the H2O, you said it's a slightly smaller screen.
Yeah, it's a 7-inch screen. So then we get to the issue of I really do feel for that specialized manga/comics reading person, this is the screen size you're going to need, because I have tried to read graphic stuff on a 7-inch screen, and a lot of the smaller type just gets too small.
Right.
Yeah.
And also for library users, Kobo is tops.
Right, but then the question becomes, do we recommend the H2O, or do we recommend that people spend another $100 for this one?
Right.
That's the question.
Let's take another question.
It was actually a comment from a viewer who says that they found the Oasis too slippery and they put contact paper on the back to actually have a grip on it.
See, I can see what you mean, but I don't necessarily agree. I've got, I find it secure enough, but maybe my finger pads are just very rough or something.
But also, are you using this case?
Yeah, I tend to use that case, and this case is very textured. So I've got this nice fabric case on it, because I don't want to damage it. And yeah, the fabric case has a good texture to it. And you really should, you should put a case or a cover over your e-reader, like you should put a case on your phone, like you should, protect any of your valuable electronics.
Right. We have another question?
It seems like most common that people use these fabric cases. Are there really rugged ones, or is that a thing that's really needed?
Are there rugged e-reader cases? I don't know.
I'm sure there are.
They aren't sold by the e-reader manufacturers themselves.
Right.
What you tend to get from the e-reader manufacturers themselves are slipcovers or leather type cases or fabric type cases. But I know that there was a company that for a while was selling these kind of waterproof bags for Kindles.
Right.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if there were third-party ruggedized cases out there.
Yeah, it's funny. We do a lot of case stories here, but they're typically for phones. I don't think we've ever done an
e-reader. We should do an e-reader case story.
Yeah.
But that is one situation where going with Kobo in the US may disadvantage you, because Amazon does dominate the market. And so you are going to have a much larger third-party accessories industry for Amazon e-readers than you would for Kobo's, just because Kobo is a smaller player here.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions? All right, so you are still in the process of testing this.
Yeah, I need to read a few books, basically. I haven't had a lot of time to read books over the past week. There's been a lot of product announcements, LG watches with mechanical hands and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that over the weekend I'll be able to sit down and read a few books.
All right, so we should have a review of this next week. Again, it is the Kobo Forma. It is $279.99. Pre-order start October 16th.
Yep.
Thank you for watching One Cool Thing Not Dialed In. We'll be back again tomorrow with another product to show you. And check PCMag.com next week for a review of the Kobo.